Okay, I will move to hire Louis Middleman as a full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 18th, 2024 at the C-step rate of $31.62 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn? Do
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Louis?
you want to
Do the other one.
do them separate?
You want to do them together or separate?
I don't care.
Aye.
I'm not going to swear them together. I'm just saying, do you want to do both resolutions?
Do you want to do
It's up
with resolutions right now?
Sure.
Okay. Stand by.
Sorry.
Secondly, request a resolution to hire full-time firefighter paramedic Brandon Treese as a full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 19th, 2024 at the A step of the current collective bargaining agreement. And I would ask for that resolution, please.
Okay, I'll move to hire Brandon Treese as a full-time firefighter paramedic effective August 19th, 2024 at the A-step rate of $27.64 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, now we'll swear. 'em in.
You ready? Yes, sir. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Louis Middleman,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution and the laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of firefighter paramedic
of firefighter paramedic
in Genoa Township,
in Genoa Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during the continuance of my employment.
during the continuance of my employment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome aboard. Oh, not gonna leave you.
I'm not going to leave you.
Congratulations.
Ready? Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brandon Drees,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of firefighter paramedic
of firefighter paramedic
in Genoa Township,
in Genoa Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during the continuance of my employment.
during the continuance of my employment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
If we could, for just a minute, I just want to losing the pen here.
I have with me my wife, my 3 children, my mom, dad, brother, and sister. They're all over here. They've been tolerated my entire journey to get here. A lot of ups and downs, and I'm happy that we've been able to continue moving forward and going up. So I'm very excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait.
I have my wife and my in-laws, my wife's grandparents, and yeah, I'm excited. I just moved here from Arkansas, so I feel like this will be a good way to learn the area and get to know the people that live here. So.
All right, next I will turn it over to our Police Chief McMillan.
Good evening, Board. Tonight, I respectfully request a resolution to hire Mr. Joseph Ballinger at Step A of the Officers' Collective Bargaining Agreement with an effective start date of August 11th. So Joe comes to us after serving the past 9 years in the United States Army. While Joe was in the military, he was deployed to the Middle East on 2 different occasions. And some of the other highlights of Joe's military career was he spent time in Germany training with Germany and other nations, assessing strengths and weaknesses of various nations. He's also a member of the Infantry Battalion Sniper Section. And while he attended a lot of training, one he mentioned specifically was he attended a non-commissioned leadership course where he was on the commandant's list for good grades and earned the Iron Soldier, which means he got the best fitness score in that training class. And he also achieved the rank of drill sergeant and spent the last couple of years as a drill sergeant in the Army. So Joe, probably most importantly, Joe lives in Sunbury with his wife, Brooke, and his 2-year-old daughter, Lexi, who I think most people are getting to know. and if approved for hire tonight, Joe's scheduled to start the Columbus Police Academy on August 19th, 2024.
All right, I will move to hire Joseph Ballinger as the full-time police officer effective August 11th, 2024 at the A step of $33.32 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Joe? Come on, bub.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. I, Joseph Ballinger. Do solemnly swear or affirm. Do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio. Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio. And will faithfully discharge the duties. And will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer. Police officer in Genoa Township. In Genoa Township, Delaware County. Delaware County, State of Ohio. State of Ohio. During the continuance of my employment. During the continuance of my employment. So help me God. So help me God. Thanks. Other 2 trucks. Oh, gotta get Paul. Gotta get that Paul. You know Thank you. Just so you know, vote doesn't vote. Goes ahead of them first.
Joe, do you have anybody here tonight that you'd like to pin your badge on?
I do. My wife Brooke, my daughter Lexi. I have my mother and father-in-law, grandfather, sister and brother-in-law, and their daughter Clara.
And which one would you like to pin your badge on?
I'll do my wife, Brooke, please. I am, yes.
I won't stab you, I swear.
You're not even close to the record for the law. So I think at this point, you typically take a break, we'll get everybody out, right? So yeah, at this point, they're going to take a short break, unless you guys want to stay and learn about culverts and road grinding and things like that. I suggest you guys go, and I think both places have something for each one.
Come on. Should I? You got a bet going. All right.
I do, but that's not when I worked here. It's when I sold payroll here. She was the HR person. Apparently.
All right, Pat.
You ready?
I'm going to turn it over to our fiscal officer, Pat Meyer.
Okay, great. I only have one thing on my agenda portion today. And I would ask the trustees to approve the July 18th regular trustee meeting minutes and the July 25th special trustee meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, I will move to approve the following trustee meeting minutes: July 18th, 2024, regular meeting minutes, and July 25th, 2024, special meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette? Yes. Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
And I'm going to turn it over to my trustworthy assistant to talk about the EAP proposal.
Good evening, trustees. This evening, I'm presenting the EAP company Empathia for your approval. At the June meeting, we had briefly spoke about the four companies that our third-party administrator had presented to us. Since then, I've had the opportunity to meet with CureLink and Empathia, and this evening, I'm proposing that we move forward with Empathia. Both of the companies were pretty equal, other than the cost. CureLink was a little bit more expensive, and there were a couple features that Empathia included in their EAP. So just for brief description, it is an employee assistance program, and it provides confidential assistance for our employees, anything with regards to mental health, physical health. It even goes as far as they call them like wellness programs, for weight, eating. I mean, they even have a work-life situation. You need a plumber, you need, some type of assistance that our employees would need. They also provide crisis response, a crisis response program. So if anything catastrophic would happen here at the township, they could be here. She said because of our location to Columbus, it'd probably be less than 4 hours. But we have that accessibility here to our employees. We also have management consulting too. So there's a whole nother level of it that is available to all of your managers. They having an issue with supervising an employee, or an employee gets ill, how they handle it with them, their departments, and so on. The Empathia also offers a discount program. So say we have an employee that does need some type of legal assistance, we would have the 3-session model, which is what I'm proposing, and then after that, the legal team that they are connected with, our employee would receive an additional 25% off the hourly rate if they needed to continue, their legal services beyond just the 3-session model that I'm proposing. So tonight, I'm asking you to accept and enter into agreement with them if you don't have any questions or concerns.
I'll move to enter into an agreement with Empathia for the Employee Assistance Program and authorize a purchase order in the amount of $3,546. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just to clarify, the $3,546 is annual.
That is correct. It is the annual amount.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I also, I should have further explained, we can, if it is a program, if we're not happy with the program, if we're not seeing the utilization, we can cancel it with a 30-day notice. Or if we feel that the employees are using it and we need to step up to that 6-session model, we can do that without any penalties.
Great.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman? Yes. Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat and Donna. At this time, I'll open it up to public comment. We've moved the podium, hopefully so that people can hear better. So if there's anybody here for public comment?
Good evening, Rick Whelan, 9500 Britton Woods Drive. Trustees, I've got a couple things to go over with you this evening here, and I'm going to start with some stuff with our zoning department that we have. I have some concerns and stuff with what's going on there, and a lot of them relate to what we call zoning certificates and inspections on our zoning stuff. I'm sure all of you are aware, or I don't know if you are, or you need to be brought back up to speed on what's required as far as permits and applications and all that stuff on the zoning stuff. But a lot of my questions involve a lot of pools and stuff that we have and the fences around the pools. And I'm concerned because we're not having inspections on the fences. I don't think anybody from the zoning department is going on the property for some reason. I'd like to find out why that is. Why they're not going up and verifying that the fences were installed per code and per setbacks. I've got 5 of them in my neighborhood. I think the trustees need to have somebody check on the rest of the pools in the rest of the township and see what's going on. So I can file a records request and find out if any of them have been done, but I don't believe they have. But we need to follow up and find out why they're not getting done. I need to get a lot of this stuff goes back to what we have in our zoning code, you guys, as far as what the zoning inspector is required to do. And I think the trustees need to reread what he's supposed to do and his duties and hold him accountable for them. Under section 114, it says that among the duties of the inspector, he shall, on letter C, conduct on-site inspections to ensure that zoning-related activities conform to applicable legal approvals. Wouldn't that mean he needs to go on the site to check this stuff out? Am I reading that wrong or what? Connie? Any comment on that?
I would need to research that. I believe that our zoning office is following the code, but again.
Well, the code says he has to do on-site inspections. See what I'm saying? That's what it says right here in our article of the code. And I don't believe this is getting done. That's what I need to follow up and make sure it's getting done on some stuff. And it also says in the rest of our stuff there under certificates of zoning compliance that it's unlawful to use any of these areas until you get a certificate of compliance from the zoning department. But everybody's using the pools. They've been using the pools. The guy that just went before the BZA committee for a variance to not have a pool fence has been using his pool for 6 months this year. And then he lied to the board about having final inspections until he was called out on it. Then he finally got his final inspections after he went before the board. But during that whole time, he's up there using his pool, and nobody's checking on any of his stuff. And our zoning department's not checking on any compliances. And the same thing's happening all around the whole township. And it says right in there, you're supposed to have a certificate of compliance before you use the stuff. So I've even asked for some certificates of compliance on new building houses. And I got a records request and got some of those things back. And the last one I got was they had a temporary certificate of compliance. That was back in 2002, which is valid for 18 months. And the 18 months was up in July of 2023. This is July of 2024. I brought it to their attention and it still hasn't been presented to me. So our zoning department's not doing what they need to be doing. And I expect the trustees to look into this stuff and get it taken care of. It's in the Ohio Revised Code that the trustees and stuff, can take action against anybody that's not doing this stuff. So I don't expect you to go out and arrest all these people or fine them or whatever, but it actually says in there that it's a daily occurrence. You'd have to read the code exactly to find out what it means, but this stuff shouldn't be going on, and it is going on. So I'd like it to get taken care of as far as that stuff goes, especially on this stuff. There's foundation surveys that are supposed to be required on the permits that our zoning department is issuing, and they even highlight it right on the permit for the builder. But then I call in and I find out nobody goes out to check it. And they're not supposed to be framing anything and continuing on until they get a foundation survey into the zoning department. But our zoning department seems to be sitting up here all the time and nobody's driving around checking on this stuff. So unless the trustees want to hire a zoning enforcement officer or somebody to do something, otherwise you need to make your zoning inspector do his duties and do this stuff. That's what he's required to do. And I encourage you to read down through the resolution and see all the stuff that he is required to do and hold him accountable for it for us. I don't believe it's my job to bird dog the whole township and get this stuff done. I brought this to everybody's attention before or whatever. There were problems with the zoning as far as people working in the zoning department not having the right knowledge to look at plans and stuff and passing stuff and accepting things without knowing what it was. Builders relying on the application. All that stuff was brought to people's attention. And I expect the township to up their game and do it themselves at this point. As far as some of our boards that you guys have appointed for our zoning commission and our BZA commission. Well, I think we need to look into having some training for these individuals. I don't know if you guys have watched too many of the meetings and stuff lately, what's going on there, but I've been attending a lot of the meetings. And I see a lot of stuff come up where nobody on the board seems to know what's going on with the zoning resolution. We have a zoning resolution that has been passed in our township and stuff, and we have commissions that don't seem to want to follow it at all. They're laxed on what they're doing. They don't seem to know what the actual zoning stuff calls for, what the codes read or whatever. They're not doing enough preparation and stuff on things. And I think they really need to have some training on what they really need to be doing as a zoning commission. I think they get led a lot of information by the zoning inspector on which way to go, and they're not thinking or adhering to what the zoning resolution is. There's a copy of some of the stuff that's been done recently as far as zonings approvals from the BZA. And one of my major issues that I have in there is on our zoning resolution under section 1619 for accessory buildings. It says that no accessory building shall be erected within any front yard setbacks of the principal building. So that to me means that if you have a house, that's your principal building, you should not be building an accessory structure in front of that structure in your front yard area. But on this page that I'm looking at here right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them that have been approved through the BZA lately. On front yards and for letting people build buildings in front of the principal structures. That's just within the last 2 years. I think there were 2 or 3 of them. The sheet I have only goes up to March of this year, so I think there's 2 or 3 of them came already this year again. So we have a commission that's going against our zoning resolution. Big time. I'm glad everybody's texting on their phones instead of listening to me. Anyways, I don't know what we have to do as far as guidance for the zoning commission and the BZA, but we have a zoning resolution, and we have boards that are not following it. And I don't think it's right. There's definitions in there for practical difficulties and hardships for variances. And I don't believe any of these people are proving that stuff. And I don't believe any practical difficulty or hardship should come into play for front yard setbacks. If you buy a piece of property, you know that you should not build a building in the front yard setback. Just because you own a piece of property doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want on that piece of property. You have to follow our zoning resolution. We've got members on these commissions that are quoting the Delaware County Building Safety Department without having knowledge of what that building safety department does. They quoted it through their stuff at their meetings. It's online. I can provide documented evidence of that. You've got other members that are quoting other townships. When we deal with Genoa Township, we got other members talking about what's going on up in Berkshire Township, and we should do it just because Berkshire Township does it. That's what's going on with our zoning commission. I would advise each of you to go back and look at it. It takes 2 or 3 hours sometimes to go through these meetings. And then I go through them a couple different times just to see what's going on and make notes. But there's tons of information, and it's pretty blaring what's going on there and stuff that you can see what's going on. That's where I think they definitely need some guidance and stuff and some training in there. And they need to understand what a practical difficulty or hardships are. They're not taking a lot of this stuff into consideration. It seems to be a free-for-all for anybody coming in with an application. Out of that list that I brought up, there's no denials on it in the last 3 years. Out of every application that comes in front of the BZA, they approve everything. So I think it's up to the trustees to do something as far as education for those members. And I don't believe it's up to the zoning inspector to lead them in their discoveries. I think these people need to do some stuff on their own and investigate some of the stuff and have some better knowledge on it. Otherwise, we need to get some better people in there. Connie, I have a question to you. Do you know if in-ground swimming pools are considered an accessory building? Are they classified as accessory buildings or not?
I do not know that right now, off the top of my head.
And you were on the zoning commission before, correct?
About 8 years ago, yes.
And what were they then?
I don't recall.
See, it's kind of, I want you guys to know this stuff. I expect my trustees to know these answers. See what I'm saying? I want everybody to know this stuff. This is kind of the stuff that goes on at our meetings. The people there don't even know what they are. I think the last BZA meeting, the people counted up buildings or whatever. In swimming pools, I looked up swimming pools accessory structures. They're considered an accessory building in about every other area. They're not listed in our zoning resolution anywhere, what they are. So we need to address that. And we need to define what it is. Because you got boards passing stuff that aren't counted for structures. And then they're basing it on it, and it's a BZA decision. And the only way to appeal a BZA decision is to take them to common pleas court. So this stuff needs to get done ahead of time so we don't have problems with it.
You have any, are you finished?
Yeah, my other issues is some of the stuff with, I brought up some stuff on the roads and stuff here. I sent an email out to Lee Bodenauer, I copied Mr. Weiss on it about 3 weeks ago about a tree hanging over on some utility lines up at 4610 Red Bank Road. And I don't know if I'm the only one in here that drives that way to get here at these meetings, but the tree's still hanging over the utility lines.
But Rick, if I recall, that they replied that they would notify the
Utility
company.
Apparently Lee Bodenauer went on vacation. As soon as he sent me that email, he took off out of town for a week, and I haven't heard anything since he got back. Haven't heard anything from Mr. Weiss. Nobody's followed up on it.
The thing is still over top the utility lines. We just had a sniper sitting on top of a building and nothing happened to him until he took a shot and then it was, taken care of. Are we gonna wait until the tree falls down on somebody's car passing there till we do something about it? This is our township. We got a brand-new fire truck. Send the guys out there with their ladder truck. They can stop traffic, jump up in there, cut the thing off, and we've done with it. It's not that big of an issue. But it is a big issue if it falls down and hits somebody's car. Lauren's been out in our neighborhood doing some work on some drainage ditches for people. And a couple weeks ago or whatever, they went up and planted some grass. She still hasn't been back up to finish the job. There's 3 other properties that still need grass and stuff planted on there. If you pass that around to the other trustees. That's the state of the grass that they planted. And apparently they're charging each one of the residents for that. So this is what we're getting out of some of the stuff for the township trustee, for what the township people are doing. If we're not gonna be able to get better stuff than this, we're gonna have to hire it out and demand that the people do better. This project's been going on and on and on, still going on, and nothing, I don't need it to go on for 2 more years up there. I asked Connie about 4 weeks ago to take a look at some of the potholes on Big Walnut Road in between Sunbury Road and Tussock Road. And I drove up there again today. Once again, I might be the only one driving that section. It's on the north side of the road. There's at least 8 or 9 areas on the side of the berm that drop down 4 to 5 inches, missing pavement. I might have mentioned it to Lauren one time before. Nothing's been done about it. I don't know if is Big Walnut Road on the schedule to get redone this year, that section?
Not that section.
Not that section? Well, then we need to get out there and fix potholes. I came up the last time and the guy's got a trailer, it's an 8-foot wide trailer, and his one tire is running off that road every time. It's amazing he didn't cut his tire on that stuff coming up through there. But it's not acceptable. There's a chunk of pavement missing out of Maxtown Road at the 8,000 address or whatever and stuff over there. Just before you get up to Sunbury Road. It's been that way for 2 months. I asked Lauren to take a look at some ditch repairs up at another address on Cragen's Court up there, as far as water laying in the ditch and stuff. Because the guy's building a house back there and he's probably gonna try and get his driveway and stuff in, and nothing's been done at that address either. Mowing was supposed to be done in the right-of-ways. I got a letter from the township, Mr. Weiss, saying that they mow twice a year. This area hasn't been mowed once up there yet this year, Paul. Not once. We're almost through the whole half of summer. Township went up and did crack sealing and stuff on Britton Woods Drive. And I told Lauren there were spots that were missed. There's still spots that were missed. Nobody's come back to do that type of business. So do you want me to present this list of stuff to you guys?
Sure.
Should we
we'll take
follow
it.
up on it then? I'll put it all together and get it in an email to you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Oh, one other question I did have then. Has anybody ever talked about having a shred-it day or anything up here? Has anybody ever looked into that?
We've talked about it. The township would have to pay for it. So we just need to look and see if we can put it in the budget. Orange Township, I know, does it. It's very costly.
Is it very costly?
And the township picks up the tab.
Are there ways to charge some of the residents so much and stuff to help it, or is it
Not
just
really.
a lot of ton of cost?
I don't know. I have to look
Okay.
more into it.
All right, all right,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you. All right, anybody else for public comment? All right, we'll close public comment and turn it over to trustee comment. Anybody?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Yep.
First, I'd like to respond to a couple of Mr. Whelan's comments. First, we do not condone our staff to go out and look for zoning violations. And we will not. If it's obvious and it has impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the township, we'll obviously address it, but we're not going to go out and look for zoning violations and attack people's properties. Second of all, I think you're confusing the two commissions, the BZA versus the zoning commission and their responsibilities. And I would suggest you maybe do a little more research to understand what both the responsibilities are. And on a positive note, our staff works extremely hard, including Lauren out covering a large part of our township of 24,000 people. So I would rather put a positive spin on this and recognize the hard work they do and try to maintain, rather than try and come in here and ruin their reputation. We can address your concerns, but if you're going to have to do it in writing so we can track them and address those violations that we're able to address. Second of all, you all may have seen a recent television report on a resident of ours on the east side of Hoover Reservoir that's having septic issues that's completely disturbing. I have notified them and talked to them as my capacity as a trustee and also as a civil engineer that deals with these kind of issues, and promised them that I would meet with them next week, and I'm hoping as a result of that I can try to get them out of this horrible mess they're in. That's all I got.
I have nothing, thank you.
I have a few things. First, I attended as a response of one of the resolutions that we passed last month at our meeting about the local government fund. I did attend the commissioners' meeting on July 22nd. There were 6 different trustees from 6 different townships who attended the meeting, and 4 of us spoke, encouraging the commissioners to pass a resolution or at least be in favor of changing our current formula for the local government fund. It hasn't been changed since 1993. And second, I attended the Budget Commission meeting that was on Monday, and there was lots of discussion. There were several different entities that attended the meeting, cities, villages, and townships, and several of the entities spoke. As a result of several trustees speaking and attending the commissioners' meeting the week before, the commissioners voted at their meeting this past Monday a resolution stating that they were open to changing the current formula, and they also were possibly in favor of reducing their current piece of the pie, which I found very encouraging. That I was surprised actually that there were so many different entities who are willing to have a conversation. That would be over this next year, because I think the deadline for the Budget Commission to pass the formula is August 4th. So we're coming up on that deadline. So it's too late for this year. But it sounds like everybody is at least willing to sit around the table and start a conversation, which is more than what has happened in the past. People tend to knock township government, but the Ohio Township Association put together a Cox report that is a few years old, and there is this assumption that bigger government is better. The opposite actually is true, that smaller local governments spend less, tax less, and borrow less, and they are actually less likely to be placed on the state's fiscal distress program. So township governments do it right. So anyway, just wanted to give you an update, and thank you both for supporting the resolution. I presented 8 resolutions from 8 different townships in Delaware County who passed a similar resolution that we passed at our last meeting. So, Paul, I will pass it over to you.
Just a couple notes. I thank the board for standing behind your employees. I know they work hard, everyone works hard. Lauren's department has been doing a great job crack sealing. The crack seal jobs that she has done this summer has put those roads back 5 years so they don't need paved for another 5 years in their history. So thank you, Lauren, for your hard work. Secondly, whenever I say certain things in emails, some things are taken, some things are misheard. I said, for roads that aren't in subdevelopments, they're mowed twice a year. And that's like roads along Big Walnut, Jaycox, different roads like that. So We will not go into subdevelopment and cut right-of-ways twice a year. That's useless, and it's up to the neighbors to do that. Next up, the tree over there on Red Bank Road, first off, it's on a county road. It's out of the right-of-way. It's on a power line. Delaware County will not cut that. Lee has reported it to the power company, so I think due diligence has been done, and this has been reported, and so we don't need to spend any more time talking about the tree. That's definitely out of the township's jurisdiction. First up on my agenda this evening, before you for consideration, I'm asking the board for 2 easements this evening. The long-awaited plan for the roundabout A in front of our building, which is the peanut-shaped one, and B, down the street at Tussock Street Road, where there's been a scene of many bad accidents, is also going to be a roundabout. So this evening, I'll ask the board to consider the 2 easements needed to Delaware County Commissioners for those roundabouts. The township will be receiving funds for those easements for our site here. For our facility, the amount of the easement will be $22,320. And down the street at Tussock Street Road, it's $25,001 for that easement.
Okay, I'll move to approve the Big Walnut Road roundabout easement purchase from the Board of County Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio, project identified as DELTR 109-02.87, parcel 15 SH Standard Highway Easement and parcel 15 TI and T2 temporary construction easement, and accept the good faith offer in the amount of $22,320 for the compensation of the easement, and authorize Township Administrator Paul Wise to sign on behalf of the the Genoa Township Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I have a lot. So, in my profession, I represent property owners on a lot of these takes, so I have a little different perspective. While the information they provided seems to be legitimate, it always does appear to be legitimate. I'm not questioning the legality of it, but they have an appraiser. They use their own appraiser, and that appraiser can be biased, representing the taker, and we are the takee. So the couple things I did not see is, how did they come up with the value? They have to have an appraiser that determines the value of the property and then the value of the take. And then the other thing is, they have a written legal description of the take, and it would take a surveyor to figure out what that looks like. And they can easily provide an exhibit that shows our property and the proposed take.
Yes.
Without those 2, I would not vote in favor of this.
Well, I can guarantee you that I have all the paperwork. I have the complete appraisal. I have the complete engineering plans for both easements. They're at my desk, or at my office for your disposal, which they've been there. I think I offered them last week when I put out the memo on that. But yeah, everything is in place. I had our engineer, Jim Barna, take a look at that. Everything is up to snuff on our point of view. They did hire a third-party appraiser, that ORC company, to do these. I'm sure they hired him, so. But it's a good faith estimate for that parcel. If you look at the amount of land that they need, they're clipping the front end of our property, and we'll be using that for the roundabout for the better good of all of our citizens.
Okay, so they're taking the sign, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still don't feel like I have enough information to support this.
When does this decision have to be made?
There's no, well, it was a 30-day offer, but there's actually, I mean, if the board needs more time, you're welcome to have more time. I have the complete set of plans, and you're welcome to them, so if you need to read them.
Yeah.
Yes,
mean,
I do.
Okay.
So want to table it?
Imagine.
Okay.
Do I rescind this since it's gotten a second?
Did it get a second?
It did
Yes,
get
it
a
did.
second.
We're in discussion.
You need to amend it. You can amend it to say you're going to table it.
Just make another motion to amend that.
Okay, I'm gonna amend,
Rescind.
I'll rescind the motion. Do I need a second for rescind?
Second.
We're good?
Okay, next.
No, we got both.
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman? Yes. Ms. Vaughn?
Motion carries.
All
Okay,
right,
so we'll table the other one? No sense in
yeah, both of
doing
those.
the other one.
The next thing up is a discussion item. It began at the last trustee meeting. It's concerning the easement request from the Delaware County Sanitary to put up easements across our Jaycox Road property and also the newly acquired Freeman Farm property. After that meeting, Trustee Vaughn contacted the Ohio Public Works Director, and she spelled out with bullet points the necessary items needed for that conditional approval by the Ohio Public Works Commission. We received a letter from Delaware County Sewer District spelling out, in my opinion, all the bullets are addressed for that. And so I'll let the board discuss the matter further at this point.
And I know Trustee Goodman had a question that she didn't want this decision to affect our grant in any way, and I believe we got your answer to that
Yes,
question.
the email that was sent clearly said that as long as we make the request, it's not within our domain to make the decision, but we have asked permission,
Yes,
basically.
Yeah.
So I'm fine,
yeah, okay. I'm fine as well.
and I appreciate the extra effort people went to on this.
Yep. Happy to do it.
Okay, so
You're good?
No,
I
I'm
think
not.
the next,
Well, at the last meeting, we talked about this, and I felt as though we weren't provided enough detailed information to make a decision. And I promised to follow up with Delaware County Regional Sewer District, Tiffany Mag, which I did, and we have been unable to touch base. So my position's no different than the last meeting.
Okay, so do you have a meeting scheduled with her then?
As soon as she called me back.
Okay. I mean, it took me 3 weeks to meet with her. It was a good bit. So she's busy.
I don't necessarily need to meet with her, I'd just like to talk to her and
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
exactly what's the purpose.
Yep, all right,
we'll carry this over to the next meeting.
okay.
Complete?
All right, Chief Ponzi?
Good evening, Board. I would respectfully request approval for an educational supplement for Battalion Chief Brady Johnson. Excuse me. Brady has recently completed his Bachelor's of Science degree in Fire Administration from Columbia Southern University. Under compliance with the Genoa Township Personnel Policy Manual, so I would request a resolution of the approval of the educational incentive in the amount of $1 per hour. And the official transcript has been turned into, excuse me, turned into the Human Resources Director, Donna Batten.
Okay, I'll move to approve the education supplement in the amount of $1 per hour for Battalion Chief Brady Johnson for a Bachelor of Science in Fire Administration from Columbia Southern University per the Genoa Township Personnel Policy Manual. Do I have a second?
Second,
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Antoinette? Yes. Ms. Goodman?
yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is CPR training, rescue on demand. A couple gentlemen from the fire department here tonight. You may remember, he was just here 2 weeks ago, Lieutenant Ron DeLozier, and Mr. Marr has been lacking. He hasn't been here for a while, but I'd like to bring them both up to speak to you tonight on a program that they developed in regards to CPR training and outreach to the community. So,
Good evening, Board. It's about 18 months ago, I was asked in the capacity of a firefighter paramedic within the township to attend high-performance CPR training here in Delaware County. Multiple entities participated. If I can summarize the program, They shared with us the science of CPR and why it works, in addition to some of the things that we could do better to improve efficacy of those that we serve. Simply stated, the rate and depth of compressions always matters in addition to the breaths, but the delays that can occur between the rescuers switching out during said activities have a very large impact in what we do and how we can save lives. So it was a big honor to attend. Here, during the keynote speech, the gentleman shared that he wanted to implement a program where he would train call takers or dispatchers, those who take the 911 calls, and how to walk an individual who isn't medically trained through a highly traumatic event. And I thought, why? I think I have an idea how we can do that a bit better. So I went on to ask him how many 911 calls come via a mobile device. And it was about 95%. So that kind of affirmed my thought, and why would you want to talk someone through a high-stress event when you could simply just send them a text with a quick video on how to do exactly what they're trying to tell them with their voice on the phone. And he loved it. So I invite you to think about the post-traumatic situation of an individual who's trained or not trained in performing a CPR if someone doesn't make it, or the pride that they have in their actions when they do. So this would affirm and help us do a better job for the public. And first person I thought about was Lieutenant Delosier, as he has a very strong background in teaching CPR, in addition to decades of public service as well. So we sought out the individual at the training, and I said, let's go for this. What if we could be a pilot here in Genoa Township or Delaware County, and how this could be efficacious for everyone in the United States, if not the world? And he said, no, go for it. I believe in what you're doing. It makes sense. If someone could just place their phone down, they have the cadence, and they have the visuals, and they have the voice of assurance on the other line of a medically professional trained individual as well. Let's go. So we did. So Ron and I quickly developed an app, if you will, that's activated by a QR code that can accompany any AED or any stand-up signage in any of our public spaces, such as schools or township centers, and move forward with this. And we think it could help a lot of people. And without Ron's help and the assurance of Chief Ponzi that we might be able to make a difference, I thank all of you for your time. And I'd like to propose that we do something as I referenced. If we could place these QRs with the AEDs around the township, those that own businesses and such, and maybe have some signage in our educational institutions targeting those individuals on how they could better serve each other and assist us in helping save lives, because it's a huge chain of a lot of things that have to go right for things to go well. And the cost would be extremely low. I would, of course, want to help, as would Ron, but signage at the schools, stickers, and we could serve as a pilot for the nation.
So just to kind of wrap this together, we're a year, we've been,
About 18 months.
okay. And so when finally everything kind of came together, I talked with Paul, and I said, you know, these gentlemen created this, but they also represent us departmentally in the township. And for us to be able to get into the businesses, the schools, et cetera, we thought it was best to bring it in front of you all. And it doesn't have to be a resolution, but just an approval of, hey, we're in agreement with the concept, and we, you know, kind of basically to give the blessing to move forward, to get this out into the public. It's a really simple item to use by scanning the QR code, and to allow the lay person to initiate CPR. We're pretty fortunate. We have a really high success rate in cardiac arrest survival in Genoa Township. We're currently, our number is 41% cardiac arrest survival rate. The national average is 3. Okay? We're doing a lot of things right with our people, but if we can increase the ability for the layperson, the public, to initiate CPR prior to our arrival, those numbers are going to rise. And this is like Mike said, very low cost, very low impact. Just need, if you're in agreement, the blessing and turn it over to these gentlemen and how we're going to roll it out. But we just wanted to bring it in front of you all so that you're aware of what we're trying to do for the public.
I think it's important to note that we're not changing anything per se with how Delcom does things, because Delcom does amazing work. They're really good at talking to residents or talking to anybody that they come in contact with on the telephone through these traumatic events. What we're proposing, or what Mike is kind of really brainchilded, is a way to put a visual with their voice. There's a super high statistic on the number of calls that come into a 911 system that's through a mobile device. I mean, the majority of us carry at least one in our pocket. If that call's coming from a mobile device, they can easily still speak with those people on the phone and say, I've just texted you a link. All you have to do is click that link. We can do that. Or any AED that we can hopefully get this sticker next to, they can say on your AED, is there a sticker with it? Please just take a picture of that, hit the link, and I'll walk you through the video. So it's really just putting a visual with the voice, and anything we can do to just kind of make that situation that they're not signed up to deal with a little bit easier to deal with until, our people can respond, is going to make the situation a lot better for everybody, and really, really increase the winning side of this. So it's a really, I know as you guys have kind of gone through it, it's a really streamlined application. It's a really streamlined link. It really it does a good job putting a visual to it, so it makes it nice. What I know Mike wants to do and what Chief wants to talk or do is really just if we can just have the ability to put the sticker there and say to whoever's in charge of that unit or in charge of that area, it's like, this doesn't change anything. This is just an extra tool that we hope you use, and we'd love to talk to you about it for 10 minutes and explain how we can use it or how you can use it. And we'll walk away from it, and hopefully, hopefully they never need to use it. But, if it's there, hopefully it at least gives somebody some guidance to use this piece of equipment they've paid a lot of money to put in their facility. So it's just one more thing to add, one more thing to make the process a little bit easier on people that don't do it every day.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Because I think the state legislature, the governor is now saying AEDs in all parks. Definitely
Schools.
going forward. We don't know when that's going to happen. It's not all fully baked.
Yes.
You're going to have AEDs in every park, playground, everything, So there's going to be even more of them out there.
Yeah, for sure. And this isn't designed to take the place of formal CPR training. Clearly, as a department to our community, we're still just begging people to come take CPR. We'll give it to you. It's great. But this is just another tool. I mean, so many people don't take CPR. They don't have a class. They rely on 911 centers to coach them through it. And this is just another way to make it easier on people. So
I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
And I would say, even for people that have taken CPR, and I have done that and got the card and all that kind of stuff, but if you don't use it, you forget and you become a little apprehensive. So this would be very helpful in saying, oh yeah, I remember that part, or, just walking you through it one more time.
absolutely.
So I like it. I think it's a great idea.
Yep.
And as a special touch, our department does a very good job of public education, and every one of those individuals, with your approval, could leave with this information. And my next step would be developing an app that would be on the phone, and that's super easy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in the can. I simply just need to press go on it, literally. But I first wanted to share not only a skeleton, but the plan as a whole, and the direct link ability through our CAD system, our emergency dispatch system, that can be sent directly to a phone immediately when in need. But to leave, and I think it would inspire people too for further training and assurance.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Go ahead.
So what it would be the relationship between the township and this, is this your LLC?
Yes.
So you'd be selling this to the township, or do we,
That's not.
what would be our participation in this as a township? I mean, I'm all in favor. I truly appreciate the ingenuity, and I think it's awesome. I'm just trying to figure out what do we ask, what's the ask here?
Obviously, we would begin to push this as a department. And we're going to ask to be out in the schools, the churches, et cetera, to be able to put these stickers, QR codes in the different facilities. And obviously, Mike and Ron came up with this venture. Obviously, as I said when we started, they're associated with us as a department and as a township. And I wanted to bring it in front of you and hash it out as far as an endorsement of what the project looks like. Again, trying to, another tool in the toolbox in that sudden moment when someone suffers sudden cardiac arrest, to make that as easy as possible for the layperson to begin CPR until the definitive care of EMS arrives. So did I answer your question, Mark?
Sort of.
We'll have we're out in the businesses a lot and the schools, and we're gearing up for school season. I think part of the goal would be to partner with the schools and ask permission to be able to put the stickers near their AEDs in all the schools. All of our schools currently have AEDs, at least one.
Right.
I think the high school may have two. But to get that permission, that'll take some work to get through Westfield City Schools and with Olentangy, but the journey starts with the first step, right? And then I think we can get down to the point of, as we move forward, it can be as simple as whoever it may be, Mike, Ron, or we go in on one of the teacher work days and say, hey, we're not here to teach you CPR, but this new QR code that you may see next to the AED, give them a 5 or 10 minute presentation and it's done. And we're not there to make you CPR certified, but here's an aid for you. And that's what we're asking, is that we can take that next proactive step to be out in the businesses and the schools and pushing this out to the public.
Okay, I'm like Connie, I also took, our office put together a CPR training, and I'm like you too, I think under panic, I might forget most of it. So I think it's a huge value, but I still don't understand the relationship that we're looking for here.
We just don't want to be out putting stickers in Genoa Township buildings and promoting a program in a Genoa Township area without the
Your
people that
approval.
run Genoa Township being
Yeah.
aware and saying,
That's a good idea.
that's all we're looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry if I didn't
Mark,
quite
is your
get that.
question, is does this drive revenue in some sense?
It cost.
And cost to somebody?
So,
Does somebody pay for the app? Do we get it free because we're Genoa Township, but other people don't?
so the thought to monetize is certainly not in the forefront at the moment. If I were to do such, that, a big part of my pitch would be sharing the concept. Yes, sir. So the thought to monetize is not at the forefront at this time. However, if I were to choose to do so, then the biggest part of my pitch would be the concept and proving it out to those that may want to share in the endeavor or, go forward at all. And it would be my honor to work with you in such a pilot before we take the next step with those affiliated with the High Performance CPR Academy and others to do that. I think if we could work together here, the next step would be to visit the same type of conversation with Delaware County and their dispatch program, if they could implement the use of the QR or a direct link to a mobile device through their CAD system. At that point, with that proof, now we have no roadblocks ahead. Now we can help anyone, anywhere in the United States or the world that operates the same way. And how one would monetize it, I have ideas, but that's not the point of this meeting. I want to share something that is special to Ron and I with you, and if we could grow something like that here, then that would mean a lot.
Yeah. Interesting.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. So next item on the agenda is truck resale agreement We are, believe it or not, beginning to close in on the delivery of the new ladder truck. Still on timeline for December. We're actually going out tomorrow to see the finished cab. The rear part of the aerial has not been started to be built on the chassis yet, but we're gonna go out and do a quick inspection tomorrow out in Dublin at the Suffolk facility. Along with that, you know, I think back 2 years ago when we talked about purchasing the new ladder, we talked about what do we do with the old one. And I said to you all, the vision would be to sell it. And the paperwork in your packet is a company by the name of Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus. They're out of Alabama. We used Brindley Mountain a number of years ago to sell our old water tanker truck. They are probably the largest fire apparatus reseller in the United States. They have a good reputation. We've had conversations with them beginning 2 years ago of what we thought the ladder truck would be worth on the resale market. Recent conversation, recent conversation with them as we talked wasn't about numbers, but how do we put it on the market? And they suggested that, hey, you know the new truck is coming. Take into consideration they kind of do an ad on their website where it has a kind of a generic picture. I think they kind of blur out the logos and everything, and they advertise it as hey, this apparatus is coming soon. And sometimes they even put a tag on like available March 2025. Hadn't really given that much thought to it until the gentleman that Chief Weekly spoke to, he said, you're in a really good time. He said, if an organization is out looking for a used ladder truck, if they don't have the money now and they know this vehicle's not gonna be available until 2025, we can start to advertise it now. It will allow that organization to make their financial plans to be prepared to make that purchase in the first quarter of 2025 in their budget process. So he recommended that we move forward and enter into the agreement and start the advertisement of it. To enter into the agreement costs us nothing. On the first page of that agreement, you will see what the seller's commission is on the apparatus. Basically, I think that I'm being hopeful and optimistic. That I would like to say that I think we're gonna sell that vehicle above $350,000, so their commission fee would be 5%. And again, that is if they bring us the buyer. Now, if someone sees it and can figure out and they come to us one-on-one, they didn't bring us the buyer. But if the buyer comes through Brindley, then we pay them the commission on the sale. So to me, I think it's a win-win. They do the advertising for us. They facilitate the transfer, et cetera, and it gets us out there with plenty of time. He did say that I actually, after the conversation, Chief Weekly, I jumped on their website and looked at some of the aerial ladder trucks that they had for sale, and some that were already marked as coming soon had a tag on them of like already taken, or deposit had already been made on the vehicle or whatever it may be. So being that it costs us nothing to enter into the agreement and to get it out there and start advertising it ahead of time, I think is a win-win for us. So if the board is inclined, I'd like a resolution to enter into the agreement with Brindley Mountain, and if you're so inclined to authorize Mr. Wise to sign the agreement.
I will move to enter into an agreement with Brindley Mountain Fire Apparatus for the listing and marketing commission agreement for the sale of the aerial ladder truck for the Genoa Township Fire Department, and authorize Township Administrator Paul Wise to sign the agreement on behalf of the Genoa Township Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I just got a quick question going through this. Is there a time period for this? I didn't see it on here.
It does say it can be any time by notifying in writing. Doesn't give a time
We
frame,
can
so
cancel.
notify in writing. Now, it does say if they referred some to us, and negotiating that we terminate the agreement, we sell to that person, you're
Yeah.
still gonna want some money within a year of
that
that.
that
So,
makes sense.
but it doesn't give a time mark. It just says we may terminate at any time by notifying the other party in writing.
All right, thank you.
Roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
And last item for me this evening is to enter into an agreement with a new EMS billing company. Provided in your packet a timeline of events that began in February of 2024 with our current EMS billing company, which was Change Healthcare, which was bought out, now known as Optum, but I wanted both names in that document. We were notified, actually Don, I think, received a certified letter in February that we were going to be dropped at the end of our current contract, which was March or April of next year. So we knew the end was coming. And then as I put in the document, then they were also the company that suffered the very large security breach. So we haven't been billing for EMS calls since the end of February. So we have over 200 plus EMS incidents that are waiting to be billed. And obviously they were basically blacked out for a couple months. There was no contact. You could call the phone number. You couldn't reach anybody, couldn't email anyone. So we were just literally in the dark. So there was a large group of fire departments in Central Ohio that all did business with Change Healthcare, and they all got notifications of termination basically that same week that we did. So large groups of us started attending meetings with different billing companies, and to make a long story short, I went to a bunch of different meetings. I met with different vendors, and in front of you tonight, I have narrowed that down to 3 different vendors, which is on page 2 of your document that I provided to you. And under each one of the companies, just a little bit of detail of each company. And, basically where they're located, what their proposal was, which obviously is important. The proposal is what percentage do we pay on the revenue or income that the billing company brings back to us through the billing process. And then represented agencies, how big is the company, some of the other details. So all 3 of the companies that are presented to you this evening are based in Ohio. And company number 1 is located in Newark. Company number 2 is in Cincinnati, and company number 3 is up near the Akron-Canton area. So I will say that company number 2 is very similar in, it may be a little smaller than Change Healthcare, and especially since they got bought out by Optum. But as far as some of the features that they offer and the abilities and things that we would receive from them, they are probably the most similar in abilities and features that they offer. The other 2 are smaller companies. Company number 1, that person that owns that business, she actually started her business here in Genoa Township. She used to live on Spring Run and started her business, I think, out of her basement, and then continued to grow over the years. And then has moved a couple times and is now in Newark. And then company number 3, like I said, located up in the Akron-Canton area. And then I think I'll just stop and see if you guys have questions. Or if you want.
Does their office location have any impact on your evaluation?
It does not. Basically, company 1, company 3 don't have a local in the city of Columbus, Greater Central Ohio representative. Company 2 does. They actually have 2. If it if it's worth discussing or not, company number 2 is Orange Township. Ourselves, Orange Township, Liberty Township, and like I said, a multitude of others. I want to say there was 51 local suburban fire departments that were affected by this change. There was a bunch of us at some of these meetings. A vast majority of them have selected company number 2 to go with. Obviously, we had some other business to attend to in the last couple months with the levy issue, and now that we've had a little bit of a pause, I thought this was an opportune time. The other part of why this timing was important, I got a phone call from, and an email from the new rep that I've been dealing with at Change Healthcare, and they're ready to reinstitute billing. They're ready to turn everything back on. And why I think this is an opportune time for us is we know we're gonna have to make a change in the first quarter of next year, and I would rather make the change now and all of our backlog of billing just turn over to the new company so that we're not having to somewhere close the books and then restart with a new company. I spoke with Donna about this. Chief Johnson and I spoke. It just makes a logical sense for us to sign on with a new company, get that process started, and give them all of our backlog of billing and let them go with that. And then we can begin the process of closing out the books with Change Healthcare. And especially being that we haven't sent them a bill since the end of February, most of that revenue cycle is gonna continue, and then it's gonna drop off as far as whether they're gonna get revenue or not. It's gonna come to an end. So to me, it's a very logical period of time right now for us to make a change.
Chief, do each of these companies correspond with, on your February 26th date, the order that they follow there, with Medi-Count being 1, PMMG 2, and QuickMed 3? Is that the way that this is working? See on February 26th memo, the timeline? On the back, it doesn't have, oh yeah, it does. Does it?
No, you don't have the company. I kept the company names off of there, just so we could discuss them generically.
Okay.
I can tell you who the names are,
You-
if it matters to you.
I was,
Company number 1 is PMMG. They're located out of Newark. Company number 2 is Medi-Count. And company number 3 is Ohio Billing. So that they're not in order, Paul,
okay,
on that front.
I got you. And the local jurisdictions are going with Medi-Count?
Yes. Orange Township had the shortest notice when the severance letters went out. They had like 60 days, and they asked for an extension, which was granted by Optum. But they had to make the first decision, and Orange Township opted and went with Medi-Count. Liberty Township, a couple months ago. Westerville had already switched because they were at the end of their previous service agreement prior to all the severance going on. But a vast majority of the Central Ohio departments have switched over to Medi-Count.
Does that concern you, that they may be understaffed with that increase in their accounts?
It doesn't concern me now. It did at first. All of them concerned me at first, because if all of us jumped on the one ship,
Right.
were they going to be able to absorb? I actually spoke with the rep from Medi-Count last week, and even at the meeting back in February, late February, Medi-Count was already hiring some people from Optum, Change Healthcare, because they're getting out of that whole EMS billing. So the people that have been there for some time, they could see the end of their career path coming. So they were leaving, looking for new jobs, and Medi-Count had already hired a bunch of people in. So I'm not concerned now, because I think kind of the fast and furious part of everyone that needed to really change soon has happened. And this will take us probably 30 to 45 days to get up and running. There's some paperwork that Donna and I and Brady will have to work on to establish ourselves with Medi-Count. They already have the necessary paperwork and logistics in place to be able to communicate with the company that manages the software that we use to write our patient care reports. That pathway has already been established because that company is a local company that several others in Central Ohio use. So that's a hurdle we won't have to jump through. They use the same lockbox system that we currently use. They have a really great web portal that we'll be able to go into if Donna or I have questions of, highest revenue, billing problems, et cetera, we'll be able to log in. The other two vendors don't have web portals. I'd have to reach out to a rep and say, can you run me a report on how much revenue we've received from Medicaid in the last 12 months? Then they have to go in and manually run it. With the web portal at MedAccount, I can log in and tailor my own reports and see whatever it is that I may need to see.
I agree with the switching now. I mean, it doesn't seem to make much sense to do a partial and then try to convert. You lose things in the middle, if nothing else, a lot of time. I like the fact that MedAccount has 53 staff members when the others have 11 and 20 respectively. I think that that is a plus because especially if all these people are joining them, they're going to have more staff to help with covering. There's always illness vacations, and this gives them a higher base. I also am very impressed that this company assisted before we were a customer, and I don't know if they charged or not, but the fact that they would actually work with us without a contract, I think says great things about that company. So those three alone make me for them.
And I was very transparent with the local rep from MedAccount when I reached out to her. We were also going through a validation, a mandatory data collection program that Medicaid had mandated on us that Chief Johnson was working on. He had asked Donna for a lot of data, and it was extensive. And I was getting emails, and I thought it was the program that Brady was working on. And finally, I forwarded him one of the emails, and he said, this is not the same thing. He was working on Medicare, and we needed to revalidate with Medicaid. Well, by the time I realized my mistake, we had like 7 days to validate. And I'd never done it because this is typically one of the things that your billing company takes care of for you. They'll FedEx you a package, and it has all the little stickers on, sign here, use blue ink, except, they really hold your hand through it. Well, we didn't have that. And so I reached out to the local rep that I had met who had given us our proposal, and I said, number one, I know I'm not your customer. And number two, I'm gonna ask for your help. But I wanna be clear that by you helping us, by no means indicates that we'll be giving you future business. But I don't know anybody else to call. Can you help us? And she said, let me call my boss. And within an hour, she called me back and said, send me everything you have, we'll start working on it. And over the weekend, I came in on Monday, I had everything that I needed to sign and send back, and it was done. And it was just, she said, we understand the situation that a lot of you are in with the Optum outage, and we're just trying to help and make sure no one gets in trouble. Because if we violate that Medicaid revalidation, we have to validate with Medicaid all over again, which is an extensive process.
Yeah,
So, in a nutshell, if I may, my recommendation would be to enter into an agreement with MedAccount, authorize Paul to sign the agreement, and then we'll go through the steps of all the paperwork that has to be done to get that process rolled.
I just have one other quick question. So their compensation is based solely on the money they collect?
That's correct.
So there isn't the risk that they get lazy and not go after the money that we're due because that's how they get paid?
That's how they get paid. And that's the same on all three companies, just to
Yeah.
be transparent,
Yeah.
okay? That's, their percentage is based off the revenue that they bring to us, okay? The only difference is if you look at company number 3, their proposal was obviously 6%. It's a higher percentage. And I guess I didn't put it on here, but there is also, it's a nominal amount, but over the year, it's like $28 every patient care report that we send to them. We pay a $28 fee along with the 6% commission rate. So the other two do not charge for us when we submit the patient care reports.
You requested that we give Paul authorization for the paperwork. Does that need to be in the resolution? Yes. All right, let's see how this goes. I'll move to enter into a master services agreement with MediCount for emergency medical services and to authorize Township Administrator Paul Wise to sign the agreement on behalf of the Genoa Township Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry that was a little
No, it's good stuff.
Very good, Chief.
Yeah.
drawn out.
All right, I will turn it over to Joe Schaefer in zoning.
Good evening, trustees. We have one item on your agenda this evening. That's the continued hearing for the Northgate office. So we have some procedural matters I think we need to get through before we get into the meat of that.
I will call to order the continued hearing at 7:58 PM to read the legal notice and ask everyone who wishes to speak to this matter to be sworn in. It's ZC case 2023-05 Northgate Office Final Development Plan for Romanelli GW LLC requesting approval of the final development plan to construct 2 office buildings of approximately 11,700 square feet and 4,900 square feet on approximately 2.042 acres located along Northgate Way on an unaddressed lot immediately northeast of 7107 Northgate Way, PIN 317-3420-101-0017, Westerville, Ohio 430282. Currently zoned Planned Industrial District, District PID, also known as Northgate Office, ZC Case 2023-05, continued from July 22nd, 2024. This time, I will ask that anybody who wishes to speak to be sworn in. I think that's just Joe. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, very good. So I will turn it over to you, Joe.
Yeah, so the applicant has requested continuance of this matter without any discussion this evening to your regular meeting on September 5th, so they can have a little bit more time to address the issue that was raised. I have had some conversations with them. I think we might have a solution, but I need to have further discussions with them. Hence the continuance request.
And is everybody okay if we just push this to the next trustee meeting on September 5th?
I'm sorry, this is, we had set it for the 15th?
We had set
Right.
it for today.
This is the one that was set for today. We have a
Yeah.
different one on the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, but we had agreed that it would be pretty quick.
Yeah, I remember
So are
now.
you okay just next
As
month?
long as it's going to be quick,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
what
do my
I,
best.
Yeah,
what I
That's
don't
on
want to
the
do
oath.
is get into an hour-long discussion
Yep.
about the nitty-gritty of it.
Yep.
Because then it should have its own meeting and so
Yeah.
forth, but,
I
yeah.
mean, there was really only one issue about
Yep.
parking. If it's not, if they don't bring about a reasonable solution, then,
right.
okay.
all right. So I will move to continue the public hearing for the subject final development plan application requested by Romanelli GW LLC, ZC case number 20230-05, also known as Northgate Office, until September 5th at 6:30 PM in the Genoa Township Hall. Additional or revised materials will be due to the Genoa Township Development and Zoning Department by, when do you want them?
Let's see, whatever the week is before, I guess the 5th would be sufficient for me. And I think that provides the board the weekend before to look at the materials.
August 30th?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a
I don't
Friday.
anticipate we're going to have to look over a lot.
Okay, that's fine. By Friday, September 30th at 4,
August.
oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Friday, August 30th at 4 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Antoness?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries.
That was the
Anything else?
only agenda item I had this evening. I
Very
did
good.
just want to thank Mr. Antonetts for his clarifications and comments earlier. Staff, zoning and non-zoning alike here at the township work very hard at what we do, and I agree with everything you stated. So with that, I don't want to dive into anything here this evening unless the board has any questions specific to any of those items. Otherwise, happy to meet with you individually and go over anything that was discussed.
Oh, do I have to close the hearing?
Sure, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
So I will move to close this hearing at 8:02 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Sorry about that. My prior commentary still stands.
Yep. You're good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joe. Anything else? Thank you both. All right, announcements. August 6th, National Night Out. August 7th, August 7th and September 4th, Parks Advisory Committee meeting. August 15th, Trustee Zoning Hearing. August 27th, BZA. September 2nd, Labor Day. September 3rd, Fire Advisory Committee, and the next regular trustee meeting is September 5th, 2024. There is no more business to come before the board, so I will move to adjourn this meeting at 8:03 PM. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion carries. We're adjourned at 8:03.